a perfectionist? Do you struggle with perfectionism? Is perfectionism part or one of the reasons that maybe you are not taking action into improving as an English communicator? Hi, it's Anna. I'm an international communication coach and dive into the psychology of all things international communication. So if you're an international professional, maybe you have all the knowledge, all the academic performance, all of these things, but you don't know the psychology behind how to really take action and how to really find solutions to the real problems you have in your English communication. If that is you, in this channel, you're gonna have all the different solutions in order to really get you unstuck and start finding improvement and start to get the next steps to progress on this field of communication. One of the main struggles many of my clients go through is perfectionism. The first thing I want you to know is perfectionism is not something that you are. You're not a perfectionist. If you think that you are, this is the moment I'm going to debunk this for you and change that perspective. Because perfectionism is not really an identity aspect. It's not who we are. We have to make the difference, and this is the first thing, between striving for excellence. This is great if you are a professional who really likes to get better at what you do, to really likes to strive for that excellence, to get better at these skills and these things and learn more about what is your expertise. That is really, really good. But with perfectionism, we are not talking about striving for excellence. With perfectionism, we are talking about a set of behaviors that we do in order to avoid any type of shame, guilt, avoid other people's opinions of us if they are judging us. So in order to avoid this, I have to make it perfect. There has to be zero mistakes. See, the thing with a skill like this of communication, when English is your second language, is that it's so creative that it's impossible to make zero mistakes. Completely unrealistic. You're gonna get mistakes in the get-go. The moment you open your mouth, you're gonna make a mistake. So the fact of having perfectionism as being part of your mindset is gonna really prevent you to make progress, because you're gonna go to the class, you're gonna try once and once again, but it's always gonna happen the same thing. You're going to be in this endless loop of comparison, comparing yourself with your coworkers, comparing yourself with these other speakers, and you're never gonna be as good as them. And you're always gonna diminish you, and you're always gonna find, oh, but I'm not good at this, I'm not smart enough, I'm not intelligent enough. What is even the point on trying? The first thing I wanna tell you is that a skill of communication like this has nothing to do with you being intelligent or not at languages. The first thing, because with languages it's not about intelligence. We acquire languages naturally. That was the case with your first language. That was the case with Spanish. So if you were able to do it with Spanish, what is making you think you cannot do it with a second language? If you really think about it, there's no rational evidence to really believe that there is an aspect that has to do with your intelligence or your IQ. It's really about the other quotient of intelligence, the emotional intelligence. What we need in order to be great at public speaking in our second language is emotional intelligence. It's managing our emotions. It's that moment that I don't want to do the video. I don't want to take action into this. What are they going to think about me? If the lighting is not perfect, if this is not the perfect outlook, whatever, that makes us stop doing the thing that we want to do. So we have to overcome that perfectionism. How do we do it? How do we overcome perfectionism? First, we have to understand what it is and how it manifests. Understanding that what is behind perfectionism is really an avoidance of shame is really essential. For this, I'm gonna come with some recommendations, like, for example, Gifts of Imperfection. This is a book by Brené Brown. Brené Brown is a social worker coming to researcher of all these things, shame and vulnerability. It's very popular. She has a really interesting TED Talk called The Power of Vulnerability. And Brené Brown tells us a lot that helps us understand better perfectionism and how perfectionism really plays out. And she speaks of perfection. Perfectionism is never about what we achieve. It's always about avoiding judgment. When we strive to be perfect, we distance ourselves from the connections we truly need. Perfection is the prison of shame. See, what happens with many of us as Spanish native speakers with the aspect of public speaking being English our second language is that there is huge amounts of shame. The first thing, because the first reference we have of communicators are not even ourselves. it just denies our own authenticity as communicators, because you have to look like a native speaker. You have to sound like a native speaker. And there are different things that you have to bear in mind on this, because on the one hand, yes, you have to be clear. And for that, we need to master the sounds and have a reference. American English standard is my point of reference, and I use a lot my imagination. I try to connect emotionally with the culture. Being New York, the point of reference for myself, and being American native speaker, the point of reference for myself in a way. But then I need to balance that with the reality that I'm a Spanish native speaker and Galician native speaker, because in Galicia we have Gallego, like it's another language, and I love to embrace that as my authenticity, in the sense that it's my story, it's my origin story. You're gonna feel that in my voice, in the essence of my voice. You're gonna feel that in the warmth of my energy, because I'm a Spanish native speaker, and I think that is something I don't need to mask. I don't need to prevent others to know that that's part of who I am as a speaker. And then I find much more confidence in that, because my goal is not to my English to be perfect with a lot of idioms and expressions that natives use or whatever. It's my own way of using the language, depending on my audience, depending on my needs. And getting into that aspect of balancing clarity with your unique self-expression is very creative, and that's what creating your voice, being in this case your American voice, is such a very playful and fun thing to do, where you can use a lot of acting skills and a lot of different things that have to do with emotional intelligence. And that's why the psychology of communication is huge. If you want to really make progress on this, is where communication coaches, we can really help you, because instead of going into the academic perfectionism thing that is zero mistakes and the orthography and the grammar and the correction, that there is an aspect of that. And yes, in a way, we have to understand that there is a way to write things and the spelling and this and that. But there is an element that happens in many academic environments that go into that perfectionism trap. In communication coaching, what is the objective is that you as a professional get your message across, you're clear, you're effective in your pronunciation, in the way you express your ideas, and there is this 93% that has to do with the psychology of how you communicate that we address in communication coaching. Besides, you being a Spanish native speaker, understanding how to train yourself in pronunciation in a way that helps you depending on the different situations is very important as communication coaches. When in academic performance or in academic settings, they don't even normally touch pronunciation training. So there are lots of different things regarding this that you have to understand, because that's the change in perspective. You need that change in perspective in order for you to start letting go of that perfectionism, understanding yourself as an authentic communicator and a global communicator that doesn't have to compare yourself with native speakers is a huge first step in order to become less trapped by perfectionism. It's also about appreciating your unique gifts and talents and appreciating all the little steps you take forward that you are already making. So it's appreciating everything you can already do as an intermediate speaker. Maybe you don't have all the expressions and all the idioms, but maybe you don't even need them, because actually you become more effective as a communicator, use a simple and effective language like that. That is something that I have to work on myself, because starting a podcast as a Spanish native speaker, being English my second language, I thought, okay, maybe I should do it in Spanish. What is the point on trying to explain all these things when English is not my mother tongue? And it's gonna be much more challenging for myself. I maybe don't articulate my ideas well, or I don't have all the words. And actually, I was starting to acknowledge more of my strengths, and more that maybe actually the fact that I communicated in a simple way, it's even making it more effective. And it also goes to a specific audience, that is you, of international professionals who are also Spanish native speakers who can see themselves in me in a way. And actually the fact of showing up and doing it in English is actually much more interesting and effective for the purpose of what I want to do. All of these were things that helped me a lot when I went into the perfectionism trap of not doing this podcasting or YouTubing in English being my second language. So again, embracing your gifts and talents and having also awareness, a lot of self-awareness. So for this, I always recommend my clients to have a communication journal, an international communication journal. So there you can write down all the different things that are happening for you regarding the emotions that you're feeling, or the different moments that you are making improvements or progress, or areas that you want to improve. And here it's being very strategic with what are the objectives of your communication training. Like maybe my objective is now centered on pronunciation, but be strategic. It's not about improving your pronunciation in all the words of the dictionary. It's about improving your pronunciation on the words that are especially challenging for you as a Spanish native speaker and that are appearing a lot in your meetings, in your events, in networking situations that you're going through. So being strategic is really important. And for that reason, you don't need to think about I have to be perfect and have all the perfect words and have all the perfect expressions, because probably for that communication situation, you just need few of them, or you just need to really master certain words, not all of them, you see? So being strategic is really gonna help you with that. Third element that I wanna attach in the video today that really can help you to overcome perfectionism has to do with the judgment of others and the fear of being judged by other people. This is very draining, and it really stops us to take action and to really make the things that we actually want to do. So I want to address this a little bit and tell you some of the things that really have helped me in order to overcome that fear of being judged by other people. The first thing that I want to tell you, and even more regarding this scale of English communication, is that normally if somebody is judging you, because in a judgment there is a negative perception there of whatever is it that you're doing. Normally that judgment tells more about the person making the judgment than yourself, because it tells more about their own insecurities, their own struggles, their own shortcomings. Even more, for example, in communication, being English your second language, if I'm being judged by another Spanish native speaker, I know that I'm triggering something in this person that needs to be triggered. And in a way, I'm making this person a favor. But, this thing is that this person probably is somebody that I don't even know. It's basically a stranger that I probably will never gonna, I will not even gonna have a coffee with this person. So what's the point on, really stopping doing something that I really want to do because somebody that I don't even know that probably is being triggered by their own insecurities? Yeah, I know it's easier said than done, but I assure you that making it more rational and understanding it from this other perspective is really going to help you to tackle this fear of being judged by other people. Another thing with this fear is that people normally, they don't really care about your videos, your podcasts, your songs, or your whatever it is that you're doing, in the sense that they are much more worried about their own lives, what is going on for them in that day. And sometimes something happened, there is stress going on in their lives, and it has nothing to do with you. So either way, if it's because it's their own insecurities, or it's because, people normally are much more worried about their own lives, the reality is that it's not even something that realistically has that much impact, and you can totally feel more free to try and do the things that you actually want to do and be creative about it and playful about it. So with the fear of judgment, remember that it's more about your own, the parts in yourself that react to what other people think, because it's more like a mirror. And remember, if you're not asking for correction, if you're not asking for feedback, and people are giving you feedback in an unsolicited way, it's actually on them, not on you. Because the only people that can give you feedback is when you're asking that feedback, and it's in spaces that are welcoming for you to give you that feedback, and in a very not judgmental way. And that is really important. So that goes in the last of the points here on the fear of being judged by other people. That, remember, it's not about not caring what other people think. That will make you probably a psychopath. It's really important that we care about what other people think, but choose wisely. What are those people? Are these people in your inner circle? Are these people that really and genuinely care for you, that love you, that want the best for you, that want you to improve? And you're asking for that advice. So the way the advice is given or the feedback, it's very different, because judgment has this negative perception, and the person that gives you that, you have to choose that selectively. Not everybody has earned the right to give you that kind of opinion. So that goes in the last of these aspects, that choose wisely the people that you're receiving that feedback from. And in that sense, as you can see, you can feel much more free in order to try and let go of that fear of being judged by other people, that it's really about ourselves. It's really about parts of ourselves that are like trying to protect us. And it's like, don't go there, don't go to that event, that international event. You're gonna speak up, you're gonna make mistakes, people are not gonna understand you. Go there anyways and try, because that's the only way you're gonna make progress and really develop the muscle of confidence that you need in a skill like this one. Thing that really helped me overcome perfectionism that I want to give you is finding expanders or people that are also doing the thing that you want to do, so you can see to believe in a subconscious level that you can also do that. And in that sense, for us being Spanish native speakers, I find that having more and more references of public speakers that are Spanish natives that are going to interviews internationally or working internationally, it's very, very helpful. For me, for example, watching Rosalía, and I just give you this example because I really like the interview that she did with Jimmy Fallon in this talk show. I think this was one of her first interviews where Rosalía is having this conversation with him, and is doing it in a way that is so confident, so goofy, and very assertive in the way that she is using her communication skills. She makes jokes. She also makes a little Spanglish here and there. So that is the thing. You are totally open about the fact that I'm Spanish. I'm totally open about my origin story in my voice. And I love that. That is the essence of global communication. It's not about masking or shaming the fact that you're Spanish. It's about actually embracing it and using it as a strength. And Rosalie,
I love that you're here. Congrats on SNL. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
This is your first U.S. talk show.
It is.
Yes.
No,
Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for choosing me. I appreciate it.
What? I'm a huge fan. I wanted to come like since forever. I've seen the videos,
Yeah.
your videos that are always on Instagram or on YouTube, and I'm always like, I would really want to talk with him.
Oh no, I'm so happy. And I just want to make sure I'm saying your name right?
Okay.
Rosalía.
Not bad.
Oh.
No, really, no, actually not bad.
Okay.
Because usually people I see here that you don't really roll the R's so much, no?
Wow, you just really rolled.
Like, yeah. Rosalía.
Ooh. Rosalía. Like that? Like that?
Yeah.
A little bit,
That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I've heard like so many options like Rosalinda,
Rosalita.
Rosalita, but it's usually like Rosalina,
Rosalina.
Rosalia.
Here's Rosalía.
I know. Yeah.
Rosalía. Thank you. That's it right there. Yes. Welcome.
yeah, is a great example of that. And I think that finding much more Spanish speakers that are doing this skill internationally and finding them as examples that you can also do it. As Spanish speakers, we can do this, and we can do it in a way that is very uniquely to us. I find this is a really important thing also in this conversation of international communication. And if that is the case, please let me know in the comments if you struggle with perfectionism, if it's something that is getting in the way of you making progress, if you need also spaces of training yourself in English communication and coaching. It's out to my services in www.tuvozamericana.com, and there you can find what I offer, my one-on-one private coaching sessions with you, or if you prefer a training space in community where you're gonna find non-judgmental space and feedback in order to get better at this skill with all the psychology behind communication. Please reach me out. I give you all the services there in my website. One of my favorite books, it's a book, but it's also like a workbook. Like there's exercises that the author Julia Cameron proposes, and I find them very, very useful. So this is the book, The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron explores unlocking creativity. It's like a creative rehab, but it really is also about overcoming perfectionism. It really speaks to creatives and artists, but it really is for all of us. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business, whoever you are, if you are somebody that needs communication internationally, I assure you that if the problem is lack of confidence, if you find that you're not making progress, if you find yourself stuck, there is an element of perfectionism going on for you. We need to unlock that creative self-expression. We need to find the playfulness of doing it. Perfectionism has nothing to do with getting it right. It has nothing to do with fixing things. It has nothing to do with standards. Perfectionism is a refusal to let yourself move ahead. It is a loop, an obsessive, debilitated closed system that causes you to get stuck in the details of what you are writing or painting or making and to lose sight of the whole. That with this job, I start to see how maybe you are really not a perfectionist, you have never been. You're somebody that really strives for excellence, that wants to be good at what you do. But if there is this shame going on and you're trying to avoid shame and you're just basically not taking action, and that is because perfectionism is happening for you, I hope that you find this video useful in order to overcome that perfectionism that maybe is happening for you, especially in a skill like this one, because the only way for us to improve as English communicators is to make the mistakes. There are so many dimensions on this skill where mistakes are gonna happen naturally, like pronunciation, like finding the way to express our ideas. We need to record ourselves in camera, see ourselves, like our body language, the way we do it. See, understand better what is our unique communication style. All of these things, many times we need some feedback or we need a lot of practice, and for that you need to make mistakes. So reframing those mistakes to learning opportunities is really important. And remember, it's not about making zero mistakes, it's about making it imperfectly enough. It's about actually stepping into the joy of the process, doing it, trying, and I hope that this video gives you permission to do that. And I see you for the next one for more tips on the psychology of international communication. Bye!